I'm going to teach you how to make one of the craziest job change menus I've ever seen. I'm a fan of my job change menu, but mine isn't the only kind. A commenter sent me some pictures and descriptions of her method, which removes a lot of the HUD to make a kind of focused job selector. This was really cool, so I gathered my team and set out to make a system that was similar, but would also push the HUD to its limits. A big thanks to Miss Liliane for her submission. You can catch more of her on YouTube and Twitch, links in the description, and if you see her characters on Leviathan, be sure to give head pats. The first thing to do before making major changes is back up what you have. It's simple. Locate your Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn folder. It's most likely in your user documents. If you have more than one character, it can look confusing to know who's who. A simple trick is to log into the character whose HUD you want to change. Make an unused keybind and delete it. The character's keybind file will now have the current time as its last modified time. Copy the folder or compress it to a zip file, which will also let you easily share it between computers. I like to keep a text file with the numbers and names for future reference. What we're going to do here is create a second HUD layout where everything is turned off except a few hotbars. This will give us that focused look. These HUD settings are independent of each other, so affecting number 2 won't change anything in number 1. Since we're turning everything off, we can move other things out of the way to make it easier. We'll need our hotbars accessible. One will show the roles, and the others each hold the job macros for tank, healer, melee, ranged, caster, and crafting and gathering. Now that's a lot of hotbars. Miss Liliane's didn't take up this much room, but I'm insane. In this example, we're using bars 4 through 10, and they're shared, so won't we be left with no usable shared hotbars? Worry not, Warrior of Light. Eorzeon never takes the simple route. Wait a minute. To make this even more complicated, remember that I used my 4th hotbar to swap between single target and AoE attacks? Somehow I'll need to keep that working. This is madness! Let's set up the menu by placing hotbar 4 vertically in roughly the center. Things can be moved later. Right now, we're just setting up a framework. Since hotbar 4 will indicate roles, we'll need hotbars 5 through 10 to go horizontally along its length. I set everything to 200% and these hotbars to 12 by 1. At the bottom, you could also set the hotbar for crafters and gatherers to be 6 by 2 if you want. It's just preference. Put your role icons on hotbar 4 with the spacing you like. Don't forget to edit any role macros to be blank so you don't accidentally click something that messes things up. Before you start putting buttons on bars, make sure you're on the right class and all hotbar sharing is off. Then drag your job macros over. Adjust until it's pretty or your hair falls out from nitpicking, whichever comes first. The meat of this menu is 2 macros. We'll start with the on macro. Give it an icon, title it if you want, and write your first line, /hudlayout2. All this does is switches the current HUD layout to number 2. So to reverse this, all we need so far in our close macro is /hudlayout1. Going back and forth, you can see everything but those bars disappears, giving you a nice focused look. Except for the chat box, which can't be closed by text commands. To get the hotbars to populate with the right buttons, we'll add some lines to our open macro. We want to copy data from miner in this case, so we'll type /hotbar, copy, min for miner, 4, share 4. This will copy from miner hotbar 4 to shared hotbar 4. We need the same for hotbars 5 through 10. Everything will display on the shared bar. Any job we switch to will keep the same data for the shared bars, so long as we make sure the bars are shared. But when we leave the job menu, it looks like we've just locked ourselves out of using any actual shared hotbars. I remembered the reason I started with hotbar 4 was because I was never going to mess with hotbars 1 through 3 for each job. But 1 through 3 also have shared hotbar data. So a handy trick here was to copy the data from shared hotbar 10 that I would keep using and overwrite shared hotbar 1, which I would never see. Then when closing the menu, I would copy shared bar 1 back over to shared bar 10. This means when the menu is open, the hotbar is used for job changes, but when the menu is closed, it's usable as a typical shared hotbar. So with all that together, we can clean up our HUD layout 1 and put our open and close buttons somewhere accessible. Just remember that to add the close button to the menu, you need to be on miner, and the hotbar has to be unshared. That's the basics of it, but
that's not good enough!
Let's dive deeper and make the character menu, gear sets, and this job change menu all open when we hit C. If you save a spot on hotbar 10, you can have your close button on the menu next to the gatherers, and the open button available otherwise. And with one keybind, you can open and close at will. Adding /character and /gearset to the macros will toggle those windows. Unfortunately, there's no built-in way to ensure they open or close, so that means if you close the menus manually, they'll open again when you hit C, but you can still use escape to close it if that happens. /gearset close isn't technically a command, but somehow it lessens buggy behavior. /character close doesn't work. My job change hotbars still make use of hotbar 4, but I need to show the menu on that. In this case, it's just a matter of making sure that hotbar 4 is set to shared as I open the menu, and then turning sharing off when I close it. That's the idea, but you can change the layout, use different icon styles, open other windows, whatever makes you happy. Honestly, I still prefer my original menu because I'm a change-on-the-fly kind of guy. Other people might like a system more like this. But the point is, there's no limit to how you can set up your systems. Don't forget to check out Miss Liliane's YouTube and/or Twitch channels. Now get out of here.